All right, this is the Springfield History Museum Illumination Project. Today I'm here with Natalia Caird. Marque Media will be your host. How you doing?
I'm good.
All right, so in this project we've been illuminating the different essentially Black experiences in Springfield, Oregon. And I think that you have a very valuable perspective because you are a youth. And a lot of times we think history, we think old people, but were you born and raised in Springfield?
I was.
So you have a very potent perspective because you were born and raised in Springfield in the 21st century. So how did your family come to Springfield?
So October 5th, 2006, my mom decided that she was done with California. She lived in a really bad part of it, so she decided she wanted to go to Oregon. It's cheaper, nicer place to live in. My father did not come with. He stayed in California, but we moved down to Springfield. I've only lived in Springfield my whole life. So we lived in a few little apartments, and then eventually came to my house now. And we lived there for like maybe 11 years in my house. So.
And how old are you?
I'm 16.
16. What are some of your most impactful memories in Springfield, Oregon?
My most impactful memories, like one of my first memories, like of actually being out and experiencing Oregon was we went hiking, and I don't know what trail it was. I was really young, probably 6, and I remember there was 2 like trails that led to the same place, which my car was parked in. And I remember my stepdad racing me and taking the taller hill that both led to the same place, and he beat me. I don't know. It's my first memory of being out and like having fun and hiking in Oregon. So yeah, it's probably one of my most impactful memories. I was so mad.
Yeah, that seems to be one of the common themes of the value of this area is just that access to nature.
Yes.
That's special and unique. And with that said, what do you see as being some of the biggest opportunities and some of the greatest challenges living in Springfield, Oregon?
Okay, so some of the biggest opportunities I think is, you never really get bored of being out. There's so many new trails. You can go to the coast. Springfield's really close to a lot of different places in Oregon. So you're like an hour out from most places that are different. So yeah. And also I think that the community in Springfield they're really giving, they're really welcoming, and that might be crazy to some people because, Oregon's a bit, the history is kind of crazy, but people have really grown from it, and I haven't really had bad experiences with people living here. Some of the disadvantages, though, is that it is not as diverse that I'd like it to be. It's really hard to connect with other Black folk my age. Mostly are older. I see a lot of Black elders here, but not a lot of Black kids. But I'm hopeful because the freshmen coming in this year, I know there's a lot more Black and BIPOC students coming in, and I'm really excited for the opportunity to meet them. But yeah, disadvantages that we're not really diverse here. So.
What do you, why is that important to you? Or what do you think the impact is of not having access to being around more young Black people? Why do you think it's important to have the opportunity to be around more young Black people?
I think everyone should have a chance to really engage with their culture. And for me, I moved down here with my white mom, my white family. So I grew up not really being able to experience my culture. When my mom tried to get me into that kind of stuff, it was really hard because I had no one else there with me that was a Black person that I could relate to with these problems that I was having. And it really gives you an identity crisis when you're around so many white people and you find a Black person, and it's not how you would expect it to be because the only Black people I experienced was in the media. And, it's sometimes exaggerated. And the way I talk, the way I act, I just felt like when I would be around a Black person, I just wouldn't fit in because I never had that experience growing up. So I feel like being around people that are like you and look like you and have the culture that is what you identify with is so important when you're growing up. And I didn't get that here. So that's why I think it's important.
You also mentioned that Springfield has I think you described it as difficult history or challenging history or something. Can you speak to what you understand or what you've heard about that history, and then maybe how that relates to why there aren't more Black people in Springfield?
Well, I know that Oregon had the only exclusion law in the United States where Black people just could not live here. So it drove them out. Basically, it was like, oh, well, you can't have slaves because there's no Black people here. And they didn't get rid of those laws for years and years after, like decades. So Black people did not feel welcome here because they weren't. In the Constitution, they were not welcome here. So why would they be here? Like, I can't blame them. You don't want to have to sneak into a state that doesn't want you there. And then with a lot of exclusion laws and things like that, groups like the KKK, formed in here, and it wasn't safe at all. So that's why there's not many Black people here.
Do you believe that being Black in Springfield, Oregon has shaped your experience?
I think so, yeah. I didn't really see myself as Black until later in life, but I definitely knew that I was because, since there aren't many Black people in Oregon, people tend to point it out in small ways that, oh, I love your hair. Is it naturally that curly? Oh, where are you from? Are you from Oregon? Where's your family from? You can definitely tell they're trying to insinuate things, but, I don't know. People don't try to be racist to me, but there's definitely a lot of microaggressions here just because there's not many Black people here to tell you that you're being microaggressive. So, yeah, I really grew up feeling like I had to answer really weird questions about my race, and that really shaped me to feel like I had to what's the word? I had to defend who I was, kind of, even though they weren't antagonizing me purposefully, So I think, yeah.
Because you said that you feel like people treated you well, people weren't necessarily, you didn't feel targeted as a Black person, but so would you describe that as just you were made to feel other?
Yeah, I was made to feel other, but people were nice to me, but they still were really, weird to me. But I don't think they meant to be weird. So it's still a positive interaction for them because they're trying to learn. They don't really know the things you're supposed to say to people. But yeah, so I took it as positive, but I know that a lot of people wouldn't take those interactions as positive, so.
What do you think needs to happen in the community here, maybe even as a Springfield High School student? What are some of the things that you think could happen to address that, to bring more awareness to people in terms of microaggressions and understanding how, while maybe they're not hateful or they're not being mean, that they are affecting people's sense of identity?
Yeah, I think that maybe we need to, ourselves as the Black people going to Springfield or being in Springfield, we need to kind of show them how how weird the questions are, because they're not going to get it if we're just that's a weird question, because they don't know why. I think something that really helps is giving them a question that is also weird. Oh, did your family come from Europe? Is your grandfather born in Germany? Why are you white? Why am I Black? It's a weird question, We don't like being prodded about our identity. If we prod you about your identity, you're gonna understand how it feels, Yeah.
So offering up a mirror?
Yeah, offering a mirror. And I think at Springfield we have a little advisory periods. I think a period about microaggressions and how they're harmful would be a nice thing to add on to it. Yeah.
Would you say that there's much of a Black community in Springfield, or do you have experience with there being a Black community in Springfield?
I'm sure there probably are, probably mostly older people, but I haven't like had any experience with a Black community. I know there's a BSU at my school. It's very slim, so yeah. But I'm sure outside of Springfield High, there's some Black communities that I have not experienced yet. I'm hopeful to experience them, but from what I have experienced, no.
Yeah, what would you like to see develop in that regard of feeling like there was a growing Black community in Springfield?
Wait, sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so what would you like to see happen in terms of like developing a Black community in Springfield, or to see the Black community in Springfield grow?
So I would like to see, I don't know, like, let me think about that. I think I want to see more Black people reaching out to these groups because I've heard of them, but I've never. Maybe it's just because I'm not like popular with the older generations, and I know they have like these events. I missed one like a few weeks ago, but I got the invite really close to the event, so I couldn't schedule my time there. But I wish there was like something like maybe a page I could follow on Facebook if I don't know about it, and it might be one that I could like see these Black events and I could go to it and I could invite my friends, my slim Black friends, but in my BSU to go to these events and really encourage them to go, because if people from different places see Black unity in Oregon, I feel like they'll, feel more inclined to come join it, come move here, because I know a big part of other people not wanting to move to Oregon is probably because of the bad history. They don't think there's any Black people here because we don't show ourselves. We're hidden, basically.
So it sounds like there needs to be a lot more outreach, right?
Yeah,
if there's stuff going on, like making sure everybody's in the loop and in the know, right?
Yeah.
Being the youngest person that we've interviewed in this project, what do you think the difference between maybe a little bit older generations and your perspective is? So for example, I'm 44 and I've been around this area for a while, and because I work in the high school, I'm around a lot of young people, and even though I'm spend 5 days a week with young people, I'm still surprised by how different their point of view, their perspective of the world that we're living in is. What do you anticipate maybe some of the differences being between the way that your generation sees the world in our community as opposed to the older generation?
I think the older generation is more kind of accepting of things like microaggressions and things like that, and it's not because they want to be, but it's because when they grew up, those were positive interactions for everyone, because back then racism was pretty racist, so they grew up not feeling accepted, and when people are less racist to them, it's a nice positive experience for them. And I back up my claim by the media. I see a lot of young people speaking out about that, like their parents, their grandparents don't see racism as they see it today, because we are much more aware of how people are talking to us, the younger generation, because the older generation just have people talking to them like they're humans of some sort. So we definitely see like racism, microaggressions in different ways. The older being more accepting of them, younger being like, why are you talking to me like that? I feel like the young generation is a little more, they feel a little more like, not opportunistic, but something like that, about changing things. The older generation is really, go with the flow, I think. they don't really see a need to change people's ideals or behaviors because, you know, they've tried for a long time to change them and it doesn't really change. But the younger generation is really fighting to change that. And I really saw that when we were talking about the harmony thing, because I saw that the people from Churchill, my mind's kind of everywhere. The people from Churchill and North Eugene that I had never met before because I didn't know that there were more black people than people at Springfield, but anyway, they were just like so like strong in their stances of wanting to change things. Even before I went to Tulsa, like talking to them through group chats, they had done a lot more than we did at Springfield, and I was like, wow, like I thought we were the people who wanted to change, and I saw Springfield Churchill students that are the same age as me wanted to change more. So, but within the old generations, I don't see a lot of them talking about wanting to change things here, because, you know, it's been fine for them, but we want it to be great for us, you know, stuff like that. So
kind of the older generation tends to be more, well, I mean, things are the way that it is.
Yeah.
Just, you know, and especially if it's not like explicitly like hatred. Like if I'm not expressing hatred or discrimination towards you, then
yeah.
Whereas the younger folks are like, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. I think that's what I've got for now. Is there any other message that you would like to share with people, especially as a history project, as people are viewing this in 10 years, in 20 years, to where this is a historical moment? Like, what would you like to leave those folks with?
Let me think. Don't be afraid to, sorry, I'm trying to think of the word. I know I'm going to say I'm trying to think of the word. Don't be afraid to, you know, delve into your own history, and don't be afraid to call people out on microaggressions. Don't be afraid, because I was for a long time, and it made me kind of miserable, you know, just having to let people talk to me the way they did because they didn't know that what they were saying was being harmful. But if you're uncomfortable with something that someone's saying, call them out on it, and they'll stop. They should at least. So, yeah.
All right, so you heard it. Call people on their stuff. And it's my Media Springfield History Museum Illumination Project, illuminating the stories, the diverse stories of the Black experience in Springfield, Oregon. Till next time, signing off.